Hope you're having a good day. We are going to learn about the animals of the tropical rainforest habitat. What have we already learned? Now let's think about the temperate deciduous forest habitat. That's the one we just learned about, all right? I want you to think about the climate. What was it like? Exactly, it had 4 different seasons: winter, spring, summer, and fall. And it had rain throughout the entire year, right? For the water, we just said that it had rain all year long, and it was easier for those animals and those plants to get that water because it rains all year long. We talked about the different plants and the animals that live there. There are a lot of animals and a lot of plants because the conditions aren't extremely hot or extremely cold. Even though the weather isn't extremely hot or extremely cold, those animals and those plants still had to adapt to the environment because it has 4 different types of weather, okay, and temperatures. So some adaptations were that those trees had broad leaves to soak up the sun. Those plants growing sideways so that they were getting the sun because those bigger trees were covering the sunshine. So they had to lean to get that sun. The squirrels had those strong back legs and sharp claws for climbing the trees and moving from tree to tree. The owls have very good hearing and very good eyesight to help them hunt in the nighttime. The bears had sharp claws for stripping the bark off of the trees to find insects. And that the deer fur changes color with the seasons. So let's talk about some things that we need to address before we jump into the read aloud. The equator. What is the equator? Exactly. It's our imaginary line that goes through the center of the globe. All right? The land and the water close to the equator is going to be warm, very warm, all year long. So if you live near the equator, it's going to be pretty toasty, all right? Would a temperate deciduous forest be found near an equator? No, it would not, because the temperate deciduous forest experiences 4 different seasons. Okay, it gets some snow, it gets some rain, it gets cool. It's not extremely hot or extremely cold. Okay? And if you're near the equator, then it's going to be very warm all year long. You're not going to have those 4 seasons. Our next read aloud, so our read aloud today, is about a different kind of forest that is located near the equator where it is going to be warm all year. This type of forest is called a tropical rainforest. The tropical rainforest that Rat and Burrow is going to visit today is called the Amazon, and it is located in South America. This is South America, and the yellow part, that is the Amazon. Okay, that's the Amazon rainforest that we're going to be talking about today. The Amazon covers more than 1.4 billion acres, okay, in Brazil, in Peru, in Colombia, in Venezuela, in Ecuador, in Bolivia, in Guyana, and I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce the other ones. The Amazon rainforest, 60% of it is in Brazil, so most of it is in Brazil, and then 13% of it is in Peru, and then the rest of the forest is kind of scattered throughout the other parts. I want you to listen carefully to learn about one example of a tropical rainforest, the Amazon rainforest. So this is just one example. There are different rainforests, but we're talking about the Amazon. The Amazon is one example of a tropical rainforest, and that is the forest we're reading about today. Hello there, Rat and Burrow reporting for a fascinating habitat, a habitat that has the greatest variety of plants and animals of any habitat on Earth. Welcome to the tropical rainforest. Tropical places are warm and wet. A rainforest is a thick forest of plants that forest of plants that stay green all year around. So, a tropical rainforest is warm, wet, thick forest of plants that stay green year round. There are a lot of tropical rainforests in many places around the world close to the equator, but the one we are visiting today is called the Amazon rainforest. It is in South America, and it is the largest tropical rainforest on Earth. The Amazon rainforest is so dense or thick that a rat like me could easily get lost. The plants in the tropical rainforest are thick because there are so many growing closely together. It's hot and very humid here. The temperature is always very warm, and it rains heavily all year long. Because of the warm temperature and the rain, the air feels wet or humid. My fur is feeling very wet and sticky, and it's a good thing that I brought my umbrella. There are between 80 and 240 inches of rainfall here every year. That makes this one of the wettest places you can find on land. Temperate deciduous forests, which you learned about the last time, have broadleaf trees that lose all of their leaves in the fall. The Amazon rainforest also has broadleaf trees, but the main difference is that most of the trees here stay green all year long. The evergreen trees in this tropical rainforest replace their leaves gradually throughout the year as leaves age and fall, so that the trees are always looking green and never have bare branches like the trees in a temperate deciduous forest. Because the climate here is the same all year round, plants do not need to slow down for cold winter weather, and the animals that live here always have a good supply of food all year. Take a look around. The trees in the rainforest are so tall that they grow as tall as 13-story buildings, or as tall as a very, very, very tall building in a large city. And some grow much taller than that. I'm standing in a tree right now, and as you can see, the trees grow so thickly and so close together here that from above you can only see a canopy of thick green leaves. You can't see the forest floor at all. In a tropical rainforest, the canopy is the top layer of the forest that is formed by the branches and leaves at the top of the trees. Okay? Because the sun's light can't get through the canopy of the leaves, everything under them seems really dark. I've brought a flashlight to help me see down there. The plants in the Amazon rainforest have adapted to this climate in many ways. Because it is so dark in the rainforest underneath the canopy, most plants have large leaves so that they can catch as much light as possible. Many plants have waxy leaves with ends that are tapered or that get smaller near the ends to help the water drip off them like the water running off my umbrella. So you can see here that the leaf is tapered or it's coming down to a point. This helps the water roll off onto the forest floor. Many types of vines grow in the rainforest. Vines are climbing plants that grow on trees or wind themselves around tree trunks. Many animals use the vines growing among the trees almost like sidewalks and ladders to cross from one tree to another. The rainforest floor is a very shady place, which means it is a good habitat for mosses and fungi that don't need much sunlight. If you can believe it, there are even some plants that don't need any light at all to grow. They grow on the forest floor and they get their energy from the rotting leaves instead of the sunlight. I'm way up in a particular tree found in the Amazon rainforest called the kapok tree. So high that you won't be able to see me. The kapok tree is one of the tallest trees around. The kapok has a very long trunk, and its branches and leaves form a canopy over the plants and animals below, making it a good shelter for animals like birds, snakes, and monkeys. There are also many different kinds of animals that call the Amazon rainforest home. Many types of interesting and colorful birds, frogs, insects, reptiles, and other animals live in the trees and other plants of tropical rainforest. These huge toucans use their large beaks to cut fruit from branches and to eat lizards, as well as other birds. This is a toucan. Okay? Macaws, which are a kind of parrot, travel in groups and use their hooked beaks to break into hard nuts and fruits. This is a macaw. Fun fact, my big sister, she has one. She has a blue macaw. I will see if she will send me a picture of her blue macaw so that I can show you guys. And you don't want to get too close to the poison arrow frog, which has poisonous skin to protect it from its predators. This is the poison arrow frog. I'm back in the kapok tree, one of the very tallest trees in the forest, to see what kinds of animals call this habitat home. Hey guys, I forgot. What's a habitat? Oh, right. It's a place where plants and animals live, and it has to have food, water, and shelter. Thanks for reminding me. Over there, I can see a squirrel monkey. The squirrel monkey is a very friendly little animal, and it shares a lot of things in common with squirrels that live in the temperate deciduous forest. The squirrel monkey is very small and has a very long, thin tail that it uses to help balance. It has strong legs that it uses to jump and run, and claws that help it climb up and down trees and vines. In fact, squirrel monkeys are so good at traveling by leaping and running along the branches that they hardly ever touch the forest floor. The squirrel monkey is an omnivore. What's an omnivore again? Oh, right, an animal that eats both plants and other animals. It eats insects, fruits, and flowers and spends most of its time during the day moving around the forest to find food. The squirrel monkey has excellent eyesight, which is useful for finding small insects, fruit, and berries growing among the trees of the tropical rainforest. Squirrel monkeys live in large groups, making it harder for their predators, like eagles and snakes, to get them. Now, this monkey is acting a little strange, and experience has told me that this kind of behavior usually means there's trouble on the way. Aha! Yes, look who's coming, some kind of snake. Snakes also tend to eat rats, so I'm going to climb a little bit higher and take a look from a distance. Wow, look at the size of this snake. It's a boa constrictor, one of many kinds of snakes that live in the Amazon rainforest. It's a pretty big snake. This one is about 13 feet long. So, guys, 13 feet long would be if you took probably, let's think, 1, 2, I'd probably say like 5 first graders all stacked on top of each other. I'd say that's probably about, that's probably about 13 feet, maybe a little longer. Boas can have slightly different colorings and patterns or repeated shapes or designs on their skin, but they are always well camouflaged in the trees, plants, and vines of the forest. This boa constrictor, like all snakes, is a carnivore. It eats other animals such as bats, which are its favorite food. Yes, rodents are also included, and lizards, birds, and even small squirrel monkeys. The boa constrictor is mostly nocturnal, so it comes out to hunt when it's getting dark, like now. Snakes can eat animals that are much bigger than they are. This boa's jaws open very, very wide so that when it finds an animal to eat, even animals such as birds and squirrel monkeys, it will be able to swallow it whole. This is the jaw of the boa constrictor. So Rattenborough is telling us that this snake can open its jaw so wide that it could eat an entire squirrel monkey whole. Isn't that crazy? The boa constrictor is not the only carnivore in the rainforest. In fact, it will have to watch out that it doesn't become dinner for a hungry jaguar like this one. Jaguars look a lot like leopards. They have tan fur with dark spots, but they are bigger than leopards, with shorter tails and legs and bigger heads and paws. This jaguar is about 7 feet long and probably weighs about 200 pounds. Jaguars are very well adapted to living in the rainforest. They have very sensitive hearing and an excellent sense of smell. A jaguar can see very well during the day and at night. All these things make it easier for it to find, stalk, and catch its prey. Stalk means to follow in a slow, quiet way in order to hunt and catch. I can barely hear the jaguar moving through the forest. That's because its paws are covered with very thick fur with pads on the bottom. Because they can travel so quietly, jaguars don't have to run far to catch their prey. So instead of having long legs for running, they have short, strong legs that are good for pouncing on other animals from the ground, from trees, or in the water. A jaguar spends most of its day resting and goes out to hunt at night. It's also very good at climbing trees, which means I should get out of here before it's able to sniff me out. I've moved to the forest floor near the bottom of a kapok tree because there's one last very interesting animal I want to show you. We'd better hurry. It's getting dark and I may have to use my flashlight to show you. These are leafcutter ants. These ants burrow underground and make nests in small groups called colonies. Different ants in the colony have different responsibilities. There are worker ants, soldier ants, and their queen. The worker ants are traveling to the kapok tree nearby, where they will use their sharp claws to bite off pieces of the leaves and bring back to the nest. Did you know that ants can carry up to 10 times their own body weight? It's pretty amazing, isn't it? The soldier ants are there to protect the worker ants on their way to and from the nest. These ants spend most of their lives working for food. Nature is amazing, isn't it? Well, it's really quite dark now, and my fur has been sticking to me since we got here, so I think it's time to leave the hot and humid Amazon rainforest. We've learned a lot about this exotic habitat, its climate, and the plants and animals that have their homes here. Now, for somewhere really different. Alright guys, so what is a tropical rainforest? I want you to pause the video and go tell someone in your home what a tropical rainforest is. Go! Alright, a forest, or the tropical rainforest, is a forest that's going to stay warm, wet, and green all of the time, and it has many different types of plants and animals. Why is it so dark on the ground or floor of a tropical rainforest? Exactly. The canopy made by the leaves of the tall trees block most of the sunlight. So, how have the plants adapted to live in the tropical rainforest? If they are not getting a lot of sunlight, then how have they adapted so that they can survive? Yeah, they reach the sunlight they reach for the sunlight, or they need little sunlight. They have large leaves that collect the sunlight, and they have the waxy leaves that allow runoff of water. So the way that the leaves are shaped help them get the water that they need, but without being too covered in water. And they have gotten used to not needing so much water or so much sunlight, and that's why they're okay to live in the shadows of the bigger trees. Oopsie. Let's see, sorry. What kind of animal is this? It is, it's a boa constrictor. What food does a boa constrictor eat in the tropical rainforest? Exactly, it eats small animals. Is the boa constrictor a carnivore, herbivore, or omnivore? Yep, it's a carnivore because it eats meat. Where do you think the boa constrictor might find shelter in the tropical rainforest? In the trees, under the plants, or on the forest floor. Let's look. What kind of adaptations does a jaguar have in order to live in the tropical rainforest? Yes, the jaguar has sensitive hearing and an excellent sense of smell, and its paws are covered with thick fur so that it can effectively and quietly hunt its prey. Look at those feet. They're pretty big, and they look pretty fuzzy to me. So think about how carefully that jaguar has to walk in order for it not to be heard by the animals it's hunting, right? And it's got those short, powerful legs to help it pounce on the animals that it's hunting. In my read aloud, you heard me say the word canopy. I read you this sentence. The trees grow so thickly and so close together here that from above you can only see a canopy of thick green leaves. I want you to go ahead and say the word canopy. You can whisper it, mouse voice it, loud voice it, deep voice it, monster voice it. Go ahead. Canopy. Canopy.
Canopy.
A canopy is the top layer of the forest formed by the branches and leaves at the top of the trees. A canopy is also something that hangs or spreads over something. Okay? Have you ever seen a canopy? You could have had a canopy over your bed. There's such thing as a canopy bed. What's the word we've talked about? What's the word we've been talking about? Yeah, canopy. So I'm going to name two things, and you're going to have to decide which one is similar to a canopy. Remember, a canopy is above a person or an object in order to cover it, okay? The roof on a front porch or the floor of a house. Which one is like a canopy? Yeah, you're right. The roof of the front porch is like a canopy because it's covering the front porch. A tent or a doormat. Which one is more like a canopy? Yeah, a tent because it's going to be covering. The tree's roots or a tree's branches and leaves. A tree's branches and leaves, exactly. An umbrella or rain boots. Yep, you got it. The umbrella is more like a canopy. So I want you to get on Google Classroom and check out your assignments for this read aloud. I will talk to you next time about a completely different habitat. I can't wait to share with you. Have a good day.